So a cloud that has a vertical line in it and a spider web that has a square and four lines coming off of it, but they're not entirely flawless. So I had my teacher in UW Superior draw me a picture. Like, he took me aside and said, "I want to meet with you." And so he met with me aside. I didn't pass his Calc 2 class, but um, in any case, he took me in to his office and he drew like this, and then he drew that. He was like, "This goes on top of here. We can't figure out how they both congeal, and let alone look at these roots, the phase of in between." This is an arc length on a unit circle. That's huge. If you study what that is, you know why they put it right after, because they can't depict why. Over here is wavelengths when they collapse. It depicts those first two pictorials. It's no surprise the third page is they're trying to rendition it. But this is all to denounce what QED is. A famous rectangle that has four lines coming off each corner as diagonals. And they have a whole region on it, and that's as close as we've got to splitting an atom. So this is what all electronics are based off of, is QED, and just being fanciful with the photon electron capture and emission. And ohms involved, or joules, however you like energy and electricity. It's just, this is the whole premises. Look at, oh, they put it on the side so it looks like cryptology, crystallography, which is an entire line of QED, just with it on its side to depict the 90-degree angle from wavelengths. This one's interesting because it looks full. So anything that is like encapsulated in symmetry would be something that is preferable because it's easy to read. And that's the only takeaway. The rest is pesky. Look at, they added in the fan. Now we're getting material. Alright, but this is all to not get copyright from what this is. This has been photoshopped like 3 times. So this is like to cancel out the base, which gets all of its electric component from there. So it goes into there, antenna rewrite. If you look closely, this connects. Hard to see, but it connects right there, and so that burst there, and this is ostensibly an umbra, penumbra. In shadows, there's 2. So they're making it inside of a light bulb of glass. And the spark inside, way too big to be inside and have the full effect of an umbra, penumbra. But it's Photoshop, so they let it slide because it's the O of inventor. Side note, these things are 2 the same color, and so this is an entire network of all public libraries in Wisconsin that are under the same nomenclature of Monarch. And then I was like, how are they related? She said they're not, but ostensibly I think that they are, because this is, you've never done delivery. One and the same. Just promoting it. Put 2 and 2 together. And the main point in case is, I had this name pop up in my head, Wallway. There's different names of locations, but the important point in case is that I thought Wallway was like a nomenclature of Australia, and in Australia its main capital is Sydney. So I thought Wallway was an extension of Sydney, but it would have been like the opposite of Sydney, because it didn't quite make it. And if you can put 2 and 2 together, I actually knew someone named Sydney in Idaho, and this was in like before 3rd grade. So if you meet someone named Sydney, you have to know that their name is an extension of Australia's capital. Uncertainty principle and polarizing singularities, it's a giant paradox where they try to put a thumb on it, and in putting a thumb on this, the way to do it is through electronics. These are some circuits that try to not gamble or have a default, meaning work with a leg. And this is through the hardest one, is denouncing something that's all in. And so AC is huge. That's like one of the origins of all of it. This is a gamble because they're including liquid and then they turn it so the liquid is then in a diagonal laterally. This is a default because they have so many troubleshoots. This is when you restart your system continuously. This is a gamble because you're just throwing option after option after option, and they're trying to culminate it to a remote device. Alright, this is the denouncer of something huge that has a lot of intake, and you're trying to transform the intake. That's about it. Interpretation of Hooke's law, where when it's at the brink of Hooke's law breaking, the string's getting stretched, they're describing the tension as flickering, and that's very impressive because these are electrically charged. This is even more charged, and so they don't have a bond that's definite, and they're describing it as a bounce. So springs bounce, right? Despite the bond, they have more motion blur to them, as opposed to ice, which is a solid structure. It's no surprise that this is stable.
Conor McGregor suffered an injury. How about that? He had the fight of his life. Suffered an injury, man. They were throwing shit. Craig threw a damn steel chair in this man's head. Steel steps, I should say. Kenichi characters, problem is no one even knows them. Not a lot of people have watched that anime. Get more moves in this damn game. Cyborg, man. Yeah, actually, that's a good actor.